You know what we're not going to do today? We're not going to go several minutes into the show. Uh, Sorry, it's my hoodie back here in case I get cold. First things first. One of the people in my audience made me t-shirts. This was a graffiti in LA, I think. It says "Stop ICE" and it has ICE arresting Jesus. They made it, put on t-shirts into me. It's incredible. I love. Thank you so much, Mama D slash Dina. I think is her name. Um, um, don't let fascism destroy your social nature. The nature of fascism, the whole intent and purpose is to demoralize. Um, when I was on active duty in the Marine Corps, I always tell people, I ain't no war hero, but I know some, right? And part of the getting to, and again, you got to understand the language I use. Getting to spend time with people that have Purple Hearts and combat action ribbons, and talk about um, the sorts of preparation that goes into uh, getting through that and like surviving it, moving on to the next thing, right? And one of the things they'll tell you is that you you can only control what you can control. Keep your spirits high and through. And you know that like you're gonna practice against paper targets and bombed out tanks and cars, and you're gonna practice in a half built house doing house clearing, and you're gonna practice against guys that have done it. You know, it'll make you think like you never thunk, right? But the whole point, shortly after they came back from their fifth straight deployment from Iraq, was morale. Esprit de corps is a term that we use in the Marine Corps. It's the spirit of the Marine Corps, right? Um, I have maintained high spirits up to and through until up and to and through now. Okay, so one of the sort of the baked in things about my personality as a result of having PTSD is that you always, you before right before the trauma, you kind of retain that, and for about 2 years before I got medically separated from the Marine Corps against my will and sent home with an honorable discharge and a bunch of money. Clearly, I didn't do anything wrong. So clearly, some shit went fucking down. And I've been talking about it, but I look at where I live. I woke up this morning here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, your guest Jared's shirt today. So Jared's shirt today is "Stop Ice." I figure protest day is a good day for the Rage Against the Regime T-shirts. Any day we're on TikTok is a good day for a Rage Against the Regime shirt. But yeah, um, one of the things that I say is like there were people that were broken and their spirit was broken, and those people were being left behind, and they were left to go to mental health, go to see the chaplain, go to medical, go to dental, go to formation, and sit in their fucking barracks room. And some of them weren't even allowed to drink because think about being like depressed and having, just been through horrible shit. And also, like, the stress level is so fucking much higher, I can imagine, when you're like in a foreign country on their soil walking around with loaded weapons. It's probably pretty stressful. And then you come home and there's such a decompression from all of that. There's a reason, like when they come back from deployment, that you can't leave the base area for like a week until they do a psych eval and a medical evaluation and kind of clear you from whatever happened. hmm But also, they want you to make sure that they hold you accountable if you did something wrong. So there were plenty of guys. For the record, a lot of people want to talk about glory and all this shit. You know what they did before the fucking awards ceremony? The accountability. Yeah, that's right. Where they went through and they said, you did this, 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 and this, you're getting fucking demoted. You did this, 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 and this, you're getting fucking demoted. Yeah, that's right. So one of the things that people don't understand, they absolutely have no concept of an idea, is that, when you're on active duty, you don't get paid very much money. Going from a non-commissioned officer, like a or not like a non-rate, like a lance corporal to corporal, to becoming an NCO and back, is the difference. I mean, it's like a double your pay basically. Going from like E3 to E4 in the Marine Corps. Not, I'm probably using the wrong terms. NCO versus staff NCO versus like non-rates, like E1, 2, 3, private first class lance corporal. We were called non-rates and boots and shit like that. You get promoted and you get a stripe. You become a corporal. You're kind of like a de facto leader of Marines. Um, I've been saying forever, the lance corporals do all the work in the Marine Corps, but it's the corporals that are the leadership. It's not the sergeants. I had a staff sergeant was fulfilling an officer role, and our platoon kicked everybody else's ass. And it was like, oh, because we have a staff sergeant that is also going to school to get a college degree, right? He's just a smart person that's also gonna have to be like great athlete, right? He was kind of our leader, and because he was still like very invested in the success of the team, he did all the stuff with us. A lot of people, once they get into a leadership role, they're gonna tap out of putting themselves into a tap out situation. They don't want to have to make that decision anymore. And so you saw a lot of leaders, a lot of people that are supposed leaders not participating in. Think of it like playing knockout basketball. So instead of talking about shooty shooty bang bang, think about playing knockout basketball. And because you're the captain of the team that's going to play in the game right after this, and you decide you don't want to play knockout because you don't want to ever lose again once you become like the coach, right? A lot of people aren't understanding, like, how could this regime be so endlessly corrupt? How could these billionaires be so endlessly corrupt? And I saw a video this morning. I thought it was in our Discord with Rashida with Hassan Piker, and she said like every fucking Republican's a millionaire. You know how we kind of pride ourselves on like the Democrats being working class? Oh, they are. The entire Republican Party is like full of millionaires. Now, people are going to say, Jared, one of the things I like about you is you're pretty even handed, and what about Democrats? The rate of someone being a millionaire in the Democratic Party is not 100%. Do you understand now? So, one of the things that people are prone to do is make exception immediately for the adversary of your point, or play devil's advocate. There's no need to do this. There's no need to do this. Sorry about the long wind. Speaking of bands, did you see the Kiss is being honored? Kenny Synergy and Simmons hates up. Yes. Somebody else that maybe a guy went to high school in Miller. He said the science teacher would let him touch the animals in the classroom. Teacher gave him a Tamagotchi. What? Gabby skimmed it. Are they gonna stop? Gabby people like it says, well, he is not gonna put him Tamagotchi gift for that teacher. Morning, Danielle, Gabby, Debs, Zeke, Stacy, Kara. Fuck is Bob? There he is. Sorry. I put out a video this morning, kind of half-assed it, talking about how people still support Donald Trump despite all of the shit. And I said, first of all, it's about how his friends who own these big media companies have treated him over the years with kid gloves. Okay, it's because he bought it, he paid for it. Okay, and they never thought in a million fucking years. It's like you don't know what you don't know, right? Because if you think about it, it's like if you asked someone on the street if they thought they could be friends with Donald Trump. I'll just explain this to you. He's an avid golfer. He's into real estate internationally. He parties. He's up all night. He's active on social media. He he puts candy in his nose. He goes to UFC fights. Do you see the problem is that there are a lot of people that are like, I actually fuck with Donald Trump. You see that? See, the problem is that there are a lot of things that another person can do that I would not be friends with you, and I'm not going to support you or cheer for your success anymore based on the decisions that you make. And I talked about this morning about how there's a massive protest in Alaska. Good. I talked about how this morning you can absolutely do something where we'll never talk again. You know what I mean? I am not above reproach. There are a lot of people that from my life that have no part in it, right? I want to make sure, especially if you're here every day and you're on social media, especially the same sites I use that we follow each other. I was thinking about yesterday, what is a good way to approach your audience, a fruitful way to approach your audience is to say, normally I wouldn't follow someone back. I don't make it a habit of following everyone who follows me. Nothing will make me unfollow someone faster than constantly being showered with your shit. Gabby said, Jared, he falls asleep all the time. Yeah, he's the kind of person that wants to go and gets there and passes out in the car. When I was in college, I had a girlfriend that was not a girlfriend, like a female friend that was a narcolep. Is that the word? I'm pretty sure she had narcolepsy. Am I dumb? Excessive daytime sleepiness. Yeah, sudden attacks of sleepiness. Um, so I had a girlfriend that was just she was the kind of person to fall into a slumber she couldn't wake up from. Just an incredibly fast and deep sleeper. And we would like get somewhere and go to be like getting out of the car, and she would just be unconscious. Like, wake up, I'm cashed out. And you'd be like, we're at a party, dude. And I'd have to like make her wake up and drive her ass back home. Drive yourself back home, dingus. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Come get me after go get yourself a Starbucks and come back, and I'll stand here. Go drive around with the windows down or something, real slow. And she like, okay. She'd drive around for a few minutes, and then she'd come back and her hair be all blown back. And she's like, "I stopped at a gas station." hmm she died in a boating accident. Yeah, like 2015, like 10 years ago. She was a ball. She rode a motorcycle, and she was a trick rider, and other women fucking hated her. Um, fucking hated her. She could manhandle a motorcycle. You know what I mean? Um, she skied and snowboarded. She water ski, jet ski, that kind of shit. Yeah, but she slept a lot. So she reminds me, that behavior pattern reminds me of Donald Trump, right? She want to go do all the craziest shit, go skydiving, go cliff diving, all that shit. Pass the fuck out. Pass the fuck out. Yeah, I was friends with her for a few years in college. She was a good time. Her husband owned a farm. So she also did like horses and cows and boating. No, from what I understand, I wasn't here, but this happened. I don't think it happened in Indiana, but it happened on a lake. I think she was on a group. You know the group tubes, where like 6 to 8 people sit on those things, and you tow them, and it's not necessarily supposed to go very fast. It's more of like a, this is what you put grandma in, and just kind of woo, let's just ride around the lake, kind of. From what I understand, they had a powerful boat hauling one of those, and I'm talking, and again, I wasn't there. We're not from the same. I don't even think she's from Indiana. But from what someone told me, one of those things was going too fast and it overturned and she drowned. Like, it was a compound issue. She broke her neck instantly, drowned, and they didn't recover her for over 24 hours. And they got, everyone else was hurt too, but I think a lot of the other people in that tube, because I think there was also way more people in it than was supposed to be. Well, I don't even know about toboggan. I don't even know. I don't even know. But yeah, I know very loose details. Just that it was like, this person definitely died. Like, it was crazy. hmm hmm But yeah, one of the thoughts that was on my mind today is that a lot of people on social media, one of the main reasons that it was really easy to get away from Facebook and Threads and IG and WhatsApp and Twitter, is that me being who I am is polarizing to people. There are people that hear me and they're like, I could not be friends with someone that has a wide range of life experience. Right? I'm more likely to say, "Oh, I can empathize with that. I've done X, Y, Z that's sort of in the same ballpark. I'll try to fit a round peg in a square hole." Right? I'll try to be social with somebody. Sleepy Joe sounds good now. At least he didn't try to destroy everything. Well, it's funny is I don't recall Joe Biden falling the fuck asleep everywhere he went, and I just want to point out how Donald Trump falls the fuck asleep everywhere he goes. So I I want to point out how ass backwards I feel like I live in the fucking upside down. All right, so I think the story of the day, right? Remember, we talk about news and politics, but we also want to make sure we have the story right because it makes it easier to live through this fucking fascist authoritarian dictatorship. Okay? So, the the second most powerful man in America, who might just be the most powerful man in America, Governor Gavin Newsom from California, has called for a special election, to allow for a new congressional map in California. The measure, which would appear on the ballot in the state in November, if lawmakers approve it, is a response to Texas Republicans' mid decade, completely abnormal attempt to redistrict. I want to continue to point out that the Democratic Party is playing within the rules of the game, democracy, and saying, like, we're going to leave this to a vote. It's expected to pass. It's expected to add 7 seats, I think, in California. It completely wipes away whatever the Texas does. And keep in mind, Texas failed to do that. So, one of the things we also got to say is that the Texas Democrats fleeing to break quorum to prevent that special legislative session from including that vote, it didn't happen. Now, they'll have to call another one. They'll have to try to force them to show up to vote, and it will fail. So, it would be fruitless. It would be pointless to even do that. They've got to come back to the table. Okay? So, one of the things we want to make sure that we do is we are even-handed, right? Because we are just as hard on the Democrats as we are on Republicans. Because here's the fucking problem. I think Gavin Newsom is a loose cannon. And I absolutely think he has the energy that we need to fight Donald Trump. And so if he can keep Donald Trump occupied, you can do anything around him, and your policies and shit are gonna pass because Donald Trump is gonna get preoccupied. I think Gavin Newsom needs to ask Melania on a date. That's what needs to happen. Yeah, the Border Patrol surrounded Governor Gavin Newsom when he was giving his speech. Yep, a show of authority. One simpleton, one person that acquiesced to the president, who's this Bean, Lieutenant Colonel Bean, who's with Border Patrol. There's the guy, and all those people that are doing what he says, showing up there, like those are all people that are just obeying, right? Remember, George Carlin said half of all people are stupid and the other half are even stupider. You're seeing the even stupider half when you see a person who is a Trump loyalist, a traitor, who is in power of a small group of people, right? Remember, one of the theories around Donald Trump is that he's a tribal warlord. hmm And so, what he absolutely uses his wealth and influence and power to do is to buy power. So there's a reason that, like, when there's a protest, I don't feel bad about working because I'm trying to get people to stop paying the people that are our oppressors. It's just I can't say that on the phone. I'm a thorn in the side of the Capital Ones, the American Express, the very people that are allowing all of this transfer of wealth and money and power. The people facilitating the movement of money. And I've said stop fucking paying them. hmm Yep. That's why it's like Gavin Newsom's great. Now we need a politician. Now we need somebody with plans and policies. Hey, I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing, right? I want to make sure that we protect the LGBTQIA plus women and people of color. So I've thought a lot about this, about what is the whole point of the police in the modern era when we have two possible paths to go down. And one of them is the police could continue to be militarized and further polarize themselves from the people that they are there to serve and protect. Or or the police's job is to point out race, like hate crimes, and pursue the prosecution of hate crimes, basically, instead of uh, defending against violence against the state or violence against a corporation or protecting the powerful or protecting their property, right? If they went, think about this, if the police went after sex pests with the same fervor they go after the homeless, instead, yeah. Yeah, one of the things you can, yeah, very much. I see him alone a lot now. It's because he smells like shit. I saw him introducing someone, and they were speaking, and everyone around Donald Trump is like trying to hold it in, even his own fucking people. See, this is the thing that really bothers me is when people start unaliving on accident. Here's the LA Times talking about how a man fleeing a Home Depot ice raid was killed by a car on the 210 freeway. Yeah. Piss and shit. And you gotta think, since he's on drugs all the time, he's probably like sweating, so you gotta mix body odor in there too. You got to. You got to. Uh huh. People are gonna flee Ohio. By the way, holy shit. As a kid who was born in Dayton, my god, how that state's fallen. Oh, by the way, I haven't said this much recently, but I need to. People not liking sports is a dog whistle for racism to me. Sports are DEI. Competition is human nature. Sport is a both leisure and competitive outlet, and on the whole, team activities are healthy, and promoting teamwork is better than promoting individualism. And one of the things I've noticed, particularly in white cis males, is when they no longer watch sports. And you're like, oh, yeah, you don't. DOJ stripped cops authority. Well, Donald Trump did federalize the Washington, D.C. police, and that was days ago. And remember, it's all about shock and awe. Every day is an escalation on the day before. Keep your head about you. State of Louisiana Attorney General is suing Roblox. So last week a story came out about the CEO of Roblox being a pedophile, and a couple content creators were exposing pedophiles on Roblox, And when they reported it to Roblox and gave them all the information they had, they banned them from Roblox. They banned the good guys and said you broke our terms of service by taking people off platform under false circumstances. Hmm. So Roblox is within a week of that story coming out too. State of Louisiana Attorney General announces a lawsuit against Roblox. So remember, we call this Justice's Waiting Room. What an aptly named fucking show. Yep, because we're just sitting around waiting on some justice, right? Sitting around waiting on some justice. This guy's gonna run for president. So this guy targeted the Buffalo supermarket shooter. You guys remember that shit? The supermarket gunman who targeted black people once charges dropped says the grand jury was too white. So the white supremacist gunman, so he's a white cis male, also a white supremacist gunman, killed 10 black people at a Buffalo supermarket. Told a judge yesterday that federal charges against him should be dropped because there weren't enough black people and other minority groups on the grand jury that indicted him. Make that make sense? He could face the death penalty and should. The U.S. military is deploying forces to the Southern Caribbean against some drug groups. Air and naval forces to Southern Caribbean Sea to address threats from Latin American drug cartels. What? More people are visiting Canada than Canadians are visiting the United States. In a reversal. In a reversal. Keep in mind, I've said this before many times, the United States is beautiful. It's massive. It's vast. It has a range of things, features to see. Um, from my parents, when I was growing up, they had a condo in Hawaii, on the Big Island, on Waikiki Beach, across the street, actually, Kahio Banyan Drive. And so, not every year, not every few years, but several times when I was a kid, my family would go spend a week or two in Hawaii. And it was just a timeshare. My parents just had a timeshare condo. Um, I loved it. Always loved Hawaii. It's beautiful. Hmm. I've spent time in California, spent time in Las Vegas specifically, in Nevada. There are places I haven't been that I would love to go, right? I've skied and snowboarded in Salt Lake City and Denver and all over the Midwest and up in Buffalo, New York area. Hmm. I was in a Marine Corps in South Carolina. That means like Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. So that whole lower east part of the country. Been to Texas. Um, been to the states between Florida and Texas. The state, you know what I mean? Like, so basically been everywhere in the United States. It's a beautiful fucking country all over the place. Hmm. But for the first time, more Americans are leaving the United States to go check out Canada as a potential place to move than there are Canadians vacationing here. Hmm. So remember, I told you to get off Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter. Here's Meta having sensual conversation with children. hmm there you go. Mark Zuckerberg's a pedophile too. So he was able to get extorted for $1 million right before Donald Trump got elected. A lot of flights from here to Canada. Yeah. hmm Yeah, I've been telling my wife lately, let's get this house cleaned up and move to fucking Canada. This house is pro porn, so the UK has started age verification and porn traffic plummeted for a couple reasons. I think curiosity attracts young people to pornography. It is a good thing. It's good to require that you be age appropriate before you view uh, pornographic material. Yeah. As someone that's the again therapy that realizes they're a little too late in life. They're a victim of SA. Um, in good news, Ukraine brings home 84 prisoners of war from Russian captivity, including people in prison since 2014. It's pretty cool, yeah. July was the deadliest month for Ukraine since May 2022. Russia killed 286 people in July. One of the things that is not being reported regularly and hasn't been. I just want to point this out as somebody that was a former professional journalist. I can say pretty confidently that you are not seeing how bad Russia is getting their ass kicked. I just told you Russia just had their deadliest month since May 2022 and didn't even kill 300 people. How many Russians you think died in June? Hmm. 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 Remember I said get off a WhatsApp? WhatsApp might end up doing a complete heel turn. Empress Val said, "Hi everyone, keep us on the Virgin Islands in your thoughts and prayers. Prepare for Aaron should pass north of us, but with hurricanes you never know." Yeah, thinking about you and all of our friends on the islands. If I had a big yard, I'd just let you camp in it. I don't. You can still camp in it. It's just not a big yard. Whoa, crazy. Scientists discover an ancient whale with a Pokemon face and a predator bite. It's funny. Uh, Zeke. One of the statistics that I learned was that an ever increasing percentage of Russian people are anti the US of A. And it's not the righteous kind. Do you understand? So there are people that hate the USA because they don't get their way, because they're fucking babies. And then there's Russia's our enemy and put bounty on American soldiers who were fighting in Afghanistan and paid up to $250,000 a mission for years. They literally armed the people we were fighting against and motivated them to fight against us for decades. And the thing about it is, and I'm sorry to raise my voice, but the more that comes out about all this, it's all tied back to Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump recently called St. Augustine Leningrad. And then a picture surfaced of him and one of his wives in Leningrad when it was Leningrad in 1987. And think about it. Krasnov, since when? 1987. So now, anything that happened, I'll give it 5 years. So we'll talk about the year before I was born, right? Like Voldemort. Um, he who shall not be named was like born. This was born right before, and it capitulated about the time I was 5. Is when he fully took money from Russia. And then you think about all the businesses that he tried to start, and they've all failed and floundered, and he fumbled, and because he's a fucking dumbass. hmm And so, if you can't look at the things that have happened all over the world since the now president, two-term president of the United States, that has deepening ties to corrupt world leaders and business owners, I think it's again important. I think it's again important to point out that the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, his wives, his children, his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein, his best friend's partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, ran an international sex trafficking ring for the better part of 20 years. And the whole point was that, yes, Donald Trump is a pedophile, but also that it put Donald Trump in the same room as powerful world leaders and billionaires who he took pictures and video of so that he could later extort them, including Bill Clinton, including Bill Gates. So you're goddamn right. There's a really good reason why. And again, I don't think it's a good reason. Like fucking publish the Epstein list. What are we even talking about? But the good reason that it hasn't come out is who's all on that list and what will it do? It'll completely think about this. This is the way I think about it. Y'all could do whatever the fuck you want with what is happening. This could mean the downfall of Microsoft. And somebody right now is in the development process of the next era of, I don't know, an operating system for a fucking computer. Fucking what? My hope is it does shake, rattle, and roll. That's I remember I want chaos. When you have fascism and authoritarianism, I'm anti-authority. I want to see chaos. I want to see it unravel. I'm leery of what all it hits when it does. But I'm seeing this now as it's not even a secret. And if you just scroll up, we've been talking about Krasnov. Long time. Scroll up. Yep. 80th Liberation Day. faces mounting call for economic coalition with Japan. Kim Huen Chong, then Deputy Trade Minister, shakes hands with Ichiro Fujisaki, Japan's Deputy Minister for Economic Affairs, in December 2023. I don't know. They call it the Empire of Japan. It's crazy. All right, so a lot of people keep sending me this shit because most of all y'all are trying to unlock some new fears. But there's these rabbits that have papillomavirus, which is naturally occurring, that causes little horns to grow out of the faces of rabbits, and it makes them look like they're people are calling them demon rabbits and shit. Um, just know that it's a mostly harmless Shope papillomavirus, and that those are like warts, like metastasizing horns. So if you ever wondered why the jackalope myth was, pervasive, there's your answer. So if anybody ever wondered what the fuck a jackalope, what the fuck? Shope papillomavirus on a rabbit. Explained. Mm-hmm. Done. Dina's amazing. Yep. Huh? A car accident in small town Tennessee leads to U.S. charges against a major Mexican drug operation. Wow. You're welcome. Yeah. So if anybody ever was like, "Oh, the jackalope and Bigfoot are on the same page," no. Jackalope explained. Still working on Bigfoot. You know what I think happens? I think that there absolutely are people that live in the woods. There are absolutely people that live in the woods. And let's just say that you're a hairy man that stopped shaving your beard and your body hair, and you just let your hair grow, and you were just out in the sun all the time, and you could have like even some developmental disorders, because I'm sure that there are some people living in the woods that have some developmental disorders that don't probably ain't wiped their ass and they're putting deodorant on or fucking wash their body in fucking years. But they also are pretty hairy. And on a very rare occasion they're massive. Bigfoot explained. Completely logically. It's a homeless person that lives in the woods that needs a razor. Explained. Mm-hmm. Yep. And they're big. Above like 6'5". You're welcome. I knew somebody was going to be like, wait a minute, I don't understand. What about Bigfoot? Hmm. Hmm. Remember, it's all about shock and awe. It's not all at all about results. Remember a while back, we talked about this. Yeah. Ibtisame Latgar, a 50-year-old clinical psychologist, was arrested Sunday after posting online late last month a picture of herself wearing a t-shirt with the word Allah in Arabic, followed by "is lesbian." The picture was accompanied by text saying Islam was like any religious ideology: fascist, phallocratic, and misogynistic. Her lawyer, Naima El Gualaf, said she had requested the postponement give her time to prepare a defense. So, days of testimony ended Wednesday. Gavin Newsom, Democratic governor of the most populated U.S. state, sued Trump after Republican president deployed the National Guard troops and active duty Marines to Los Angeles in June amid protest. And by the way, the new TikTok rules say you can't call people terrorists or criminals. By the way, so want to make sure that we point out that Donald Trump is a tribal warlord terrorist, a world terrorist. Remember that there's money is the motivator, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I have absolutely no doubts. Gabby, what was you saying? It could be you going wild. Yeah, TikTok is. Man, it went fascist quick, huh? So yeah, I want to continue to point out. I've been telling y'all for a long time. If you want to get on the program, no Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter. Stop shopping on Amazon. Start doing business locally. My wife and I have fallen in love with this little Mexican spot around the corner. And the thing that we already know, like in our headspace, is like the best pizza you've had in a while. There are two very distinct options within minutes of my house. I'm literally selling where I live. Y'all need to move and be my neighbors. Okay? Um, there's a spot called 317 Burger downtown that's considered by many to be the best burger in the United States. I've had it, I've had their fries. We have to put their fries in our air fryer and crisp them. Otherwise, they are the steak style fry seasoned. They just tend not to. They tend not to fry them to crisp. They fry them to like mushy. If you can manipulate your food to change it from inedible slop into a functional french fry, and then your bun doesn't get soggy, which again, this just happens when you get food ordered, then yes, I agree. 317 Burger is the best burger you'll ever eat. You just got to jump through a lot of hoops, and as a result, I'll just eat at Culver's. hmm But there's an award winning restaurant in Fortville, which is like 5 minutes from my house. So there's two. The best burger you ever had in an award winning restaurant, not even 5 minutes away. Okay? And then also, there's a Pizza King across the street from the Meyer. That's like a mile away. Okay? So I don't shop at Wally World, shit like that. And the Pizza King, many people consider that the best pizza in Indiana. And it's not close. And I happen to agree, but my wife is a terrorist. And since she's from around these parts, she don't like Pizza King. Must be something in the water. Okay? So, the second best fucking pizza is out of a fucking gas station called Huck's in McCordsville. And you would swear up and down, "Oh, you're just white trash." Like, no. They actually used aged cheese. The cheese actually has a little bit of The sauce has a little bit of The crust is thicker. It stands up a little bit, and it's hot as fuck, and it's tasty, and that's the whole fucking point of pizza. So I want to make sure that I'm starting to lean into, hey, the world's ending. The left half of the country unlivable. The southeast part of the country unfucking livable. All of the racists and shit east of us in Ohio and east. hmm And Indiana looks like shit politically right now, but that's because of the manipulation of the election system. hmm And it's going to happen anyway. And it it's going to happen anyway. People are going to move around this place. Huck's breakfast pizza is a bomb. Yes, I agree. So the Huck's pizza out of the Huck's gas station pizza around here is pizza. Pizza is a jalapeno or a yellow pepper or red pepper away from just being breakfast food. hmm You crack one of the things that people don't do that they should. Okay, if you drink eggs, Dina said I've been drinking like the world's been in. My wife and I have gotten margaritas twice in the last couple weeks. I've had pizza all over the place. I was just talking about there's two pizza options locally that many people consider like the best you could get. So, and those things are like close. When I say like me be my neighbor. Yeah. In New Jersey it's the water. The water is why the pizza's good. From what I understand in New Jersey you have a high water table. Yeah. That's Godfather's Pizza is Huck's. The actual original is in a gas station down the road. They sell it in a grocery store. Yep. I'm saying like we get it hot. Most people buy that shit cold. hmm Yep. New Jersey has a high water table. That means the water is on average closer to the surface in New Jersey. hmm Yeah, so I've recently a lot of people have been talking about the world ending. PBS is a good place to sort of gather some information that'll help you. There's a reason I keep saying like y'all should come be my neighbor. Come be my neighbor. Here's a video from when will the world run out of water? Okay. So, again, there are places in the United States, mainly the coasts and the Gulf, that you're going to want to stay away from. Obviously, like the Southwest, with how dry it is out there, okay? But when I look at it, it's like you can't go far north because you run into the Great Lakes. And remember what I keep saying, it's not just a drought. It's not just the drought out west. It's the abundance of water in the east. So what will end up happening is, again, I've said this shit before. Fire going on near a cabin Monday. Third fire season in 4 years we've had it. Dina, goodness. Tony Baloney's place, the taco pizza. Yeah, yeah. About when will the world run out of water? And what you see is the height of stress is about 20 years. So in about 20 years, I'll be 62. will be the height of stress on water, and then it will start to decline from there. The availability of water. Um, I'm not a climate scientist. I'm not somebody that can tell you about the availability of fresh water and like its impact on us. I can just tell you that we need to figure out ways to gather, purify, and store clean water. Hmm. Yep. The fuck? They recalled this ham, so yeah, them data centers are more important. Yeah, right. They're trying to build a data center south of us down in Franklin. I'm certainly opposed to that. So, yeah. Hmm. Yep. You know what? I'm gonna start playing Once Human again, because I think Once Human had the right tip. Like Once Human, uh, again, I'm gonna pontificate about video games. So if you want to zone out here for a moment, go get yourself a refresher. If you're not interested. So I've been playing through, and I'm a emotional gamer. Okay, I don't necessarily care to be a social gamer. If you've played League of Legends or Call of Duty with strangers, you know what I'm talking about. People are the fucking worst. So I'm mostly a solo gamer. Lately, I've been playing a lot of Days Gone. Now, one of the reasons that I'm not necessarily like a huge fan is because of some bullshit limitations within the game. How you can only carry like a couple Molotovs, you can carry like three, and three pipe bombs, and it's just like, hmm. Anyway, I just think that like there are some limitations that are placed on your character that otherwise make it imperfect. Um, but otherwise, it's a great game. Hmm. But once you play Days Gone for a while and you sort of see the limitations, and if you pay attention to the story, what is happening is your character is having a mental breakdown. Over the course of the game, he's hallucinating, he has nightmares, he zones the fuck out in the middle of conversations. He is regularly having conversations with himself. He, um, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Are the things that you notice about your character? He's starting to lose his fucking mind, but everything stays within the bounds of like reality. A lot of conversations are had. Um, it's post society. It's post apocalyptic in nature, and a lot of it has to do with what happened before. So we're nearly in the middle of the apocalypse, right? Like we're closer to it than we are farther away. Now, in Days Gone, it's an infection, just like the Shope papillomavirus, except it turned animals and people violent. There you go. So it disfigured their faces and it made them fucking angry. Yep, that's the game. Once you kind of get deep into the game and you realize what the limitations are going to be, your brain goes, well, where do we go from here? You see, the problem with Days Gone is there's no building a place to live, there's no actual gathering. There's no crafting things that are permanent fixtures. For example, like you don't put on body armor. In a game about gunplay, post-apocalyptic, where you're jimmying your way into police officers' cars, you're not putting on their body armor. You're not taking their riot shield out of the trunk and the shoddy. But it's also about like what happens, right, with Days Gone, right? And a lot of people that have played it are getting hurt right now because like don't spoil it, don't spoil it. Play Days Gone. It's fucking incredible. One of the things that I have always said, because I was in the Marine Corps infantry, is heavy is the head that wears the crown. And one of the things that you'll notice is like you'll get through the game and you'll realize how many people that you kill. Not zombies. And at some point you realize it's eating them alive. And so your brain's like, you got to get away from this. Once he is cognizant of what your character's done, about how you're just fucking ruthless and efficient, he's gonna lose his fucking marbles. And that, my friends, is called once human. And so once human is what happens to your character when they lose their fucking mind. And now you jump over to once human, which it's to me it's the same game. Third person shooter, but it's much more survival based. You're gonna have to build a place to live. You're gonna have to gather water. You're gonna have to figure out what is this fucking pollution and how do I get rid of that so that I can fucking survive. You have to build gas masks. You have to keep up your body armor. You have to regularly upkeep with weapons. But the bad guys aren't just zombies. So there's a variety of them. And since you've lost your shit, you're hallucinating the absolute dog shit out of this, and it's incredible. And it's incredible. And you're like, "Oh, this is what it is. This is the end times once human." Kara saw this yesterday and said if you're having a rough day, just remember you've never worn a stupid red hat or worn a maxi pad as an ear warmer. Truer words, truer words not spoken. Prisoner escaped from the Washington State Department of Corrections officers while he was being transported through Seattle Tacoma International Airport. Yo! Also, Horizon Zero Dawn is a great female lead game. hmm Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the greatest games ever made. hmm Horizon Zero Dawn is Red Dead Redemption for redhead women. That was supposed to be a joke. Um, Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead RDR. Aloy. All I'll say is this: as someone that grew up hunting with a bow or shotgun or rifle or musket or what the fuck ever in my hand, you ain't shooting a bow like that, kids. She's supernatural. She said, "I can't believe that stupid maxi pads in their ears." Yeah. There's a Typhoon Podol blowing through southern Taiwan. Here's Bangkok Post, by the way. Hey, if anybody was wondering where to invest, if you're looking to recover your retirement money, you're going to have to look internationally at international markets. I have a feeling that hit close to home, so. California banned legacy admissions at private schools. Stanford's sticking with it. You should really watch the video that I sent about water. Um, it's not just pollution, it's not just war and famine and flood and fire. It's the depletion of fresh water. Remember, remember, I told you that. To a whole country has already immigrated to another country. Tortuga. I just saw another island country will completely uproot and move to another island and claim that as their capital. Again, I can't remember where I saw this video. I feel like I bring it up so often. I feel like they scrubbed it off the fucking internet. In 100 years, I'll look back and there'll be a picture of the idiots wearing them. But yeah, there's a video, and I'm gonna keep saying it, so you've heard this before. But the supporters walking up to this guy that's exiting like a contaminated area, and he's removing his mop gear after the little spray down, right? And he removes his mask and he takes a big gulp of air and he wipes his eyes and he's kind of getting adjusted to the light. And the lady jams a microphone in his face and she asks him about the situation. And without even like addressing what is going on behind him, he says, you know, at some point, they're going to show up on our shores with nowhere else to go. And we will have been the ones that led to the destruction of their homes. And we will also refuse to take them in when they come to our shores. So are you surprised when they hate us? Are you surprised when they take it by force? Don't be surprised when they come to our shores and take it by force. Because we have taken everything from them over and over and over again over the course of history. Now, he's British, so he's talking about the British Empire. We're the baddies. to a lot of people. So don't be surprised when they immigrate to the United States en masse. And it's not just the happy kind, the filled out all their paperwork kind. Just want to make sure that I've said that out loud. There's a reason I tell people to grow a fucking garden. Jesus Christ. August on track to be the hottest on record. In Arizona, 400 people have died. Temperatures hit 110 degrees every day in Arizona. Wow. So hey, we can't say that we didn't see it coming. Yeah. So there's the Guardian article that says we're in we're mid August. 400. By the way, don't say it often enough, but hey, uh, times they are a changing. A lot of people, for most of my life, they valued things like their credit score. But if you're in the house you're gonna be in, and you've got the car you're gonna be driving, and that credit score suddenly means absolutely nothing to you, and those credit cards that you are spending all of the money that you could just be otherwise saving all of a sudden means a whole lot to you. Know that hey, your groceries are about to be a lot more expensive, and I'm willing to bet you a lot of your credit cards are just maxed out anyway. And instead of filing bankruptcy or just not paying on them till you get your wages garnished, not only should you stop paying them, but you should give me a call. And let's get you out of debt in the next few years. Let's save as absolutely as much money as we can because, hey, I don't know if you see the flashing lights in front of you. The cost of everything is going to go up. The penalties for late payments on those credit cards are debilitating. And by the way, mostly what's holding down your credit score is all the debt you carry. So it's not your payment history. If you pay all your bills on time, it's not even a 500 credit score. So just so you know, paying the bill on time does not make you a good customer. It does make you a good customer to your creditor, hmm but it doesn't help your credit. So why pay it? Why continue to pay all that interest? Remember, 80% of your minimum payments on an interest earning account are interest. I'd say it's time to stop kneecapping yourself and start saving money. It's literally my job. Think about my job is to get you to pay less. My job is to save you money and get you out of debt quickly so that you could save. Because look around. My direct number again 1-877-230-7106. Especially if you have $10,000 or more in unsecured debt. That's credit cards, personal loans, payday loans, student loans even. And you know how your student loans they change hands all the time? Sometimes they change hands and then you can add them to the program and then let us negotiate for like 40 to 60% of all of your debt is what I'm really saying. And get out of debt by paying less than you owe and have zero balance paid in full accounts. Hmm. Trump ally Eric Prince plans to keep personnel in Haiti for 10 years to fight gangs and collect taxes. Hopefully, this young person has a. So, a young woman was shot dead while walking a child to a bus stop in Louisville. Authorities are looking for the shooter. Child wasn't physically hurt. 15-year-old boy was taken into custody earlier in the day in connection with the shooting. Authorities determined he was not a suspect. Young black male. Shooting occurred in front of very small children. Second shooting at a Louisville bus stop in 1 week. First one on August 2nd, Jefferson County's first day of school. Multiple shots were fired at a bus stop. God damn. Think about all the trauma of being like a young person in the United States now. You know? So I worked at Sally Mae. There's some things that you're not supposed to say out loud without getting sued. So keep in mind, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I just worked for these people. But yeah, if you look at your credit report and you see Department of Education on your loans, those are private or those are federal student loans. Those get bought all the time. So I'm not making you any promises. But when I talk to someone that has student loans that are like Nelnet, Aidvantage, Department of Ed, I worked at fucking Sally Mae. Those things change hands all the time. So, especially if you're not in repayment, especially if you're on IBR. Um, but yeah, I've definitely had somebody call in that, and it's happened to them where their loans changed hands and now they have a servicer that we can work with. Hmm. Hmm. You know what's even better is that people are getting like a $20,000 limit and zero interest and a balance transfer, and it's like your student loans. Get a big ass credit card with a 0% interest, put your student loans on it, and then add it to your program through us and let us negotiate for like 40 to 60% of that. Get your education severely discounted. Like, don't pay all that interest for years, right? That's senseless. Like, people, older son fainted the other day. It's super dangerous. I fainted when I was in fifth grade. My mom was cutting my hair before an all-star basketball game, and I was like the best player. And my mom was asking me like, "Are you nervous and shit?" And she was like cutting my hair, and she didn't cut my ear open with the scissors, but she like nicked my ear, and I saw the scissor close on my like ear, and I was like, and I passed the fuck out. I still had like 24 points. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a reason I get on here every day, and I'm like, you got to get 8 hours of sleep. Make sure that you're well rested. You got to eat right, exercise, drink water. Yep. And it's got to start when you're young. You gotta start these habits when you're young because it's gonna be even harder to do when you're older. Uh-huh. One of the things though, I'm gonna figure out gardening. That's my mission. Or you could just like eat food, right? All right, I think we're done with the news. Maryland Governor Wes Moore says all options are on the table for redistricting. We may have talked about this yesterday, but more people are going to follow Gavin Newsom and be ballsy in their Democratic led states. And more Republican elected officials are going to show how ineffective they are by failing to gerrymander, by the way. Yeah, it's stupid. Breakfast is like the most important meal of the day. You're freshest in the morning, and so your cells are most apt, like they're most ready for grub in the morning. And the energy you get from a morning meal has a longer carry, meaning like breakfast does more for your body than dinner. Because typically people eat and go to bed. So it's not good. It's not healthy. Yeah. Breakfast is like the meal you're guaranteed to be awake after and actually use the shit you intake. Yeah, fucking teenagers. I was obsessed. I've always been obsessed with breakfast. Breakfast sandwiches, breakfast platters, pancakes. I give a shit. Get something in the hole. hmm What the fuck is on my ear? Oh, it's the tag from the hat. I'm like, what? Is there a bug? Zeke said I live in Maryland. Oh yeah. Well, you're they're thinking about redistricting there. Republican populists plan to repeatedly bypass Mike Johnson. He don't want to listen to me. He will. He will. He will. Eventually, that stomach ache that you get when you don't eat breakfast, it will make anybody turn and be like, should just start eating breakfast in the morning. hmm Yeah, everybody stay safe. Oh, let's check the weather before everybody gets out of here. Make sure you watch that video from PBS Terra. It'll just keep you up to abreast on like the collapse of civilization not being for after we're all gone. We'll all be long gone. Yep. We're like warning people, and that's why these accelerationists are particularly harmful. So yeah, when I look at Tropical Storm Aaron slash Hurricane Aaron, hopefully it misses the islands. It's not gonna. It's not gonna. Part of that part of that absolutely is gonna hit the islands. I don't know that it's gonna make landfall. It looks like it's gonna turn out to sea, but again, I'm not a meteorologist. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But when I look at the United States on the whole, baby, the left hand's on fire. Okay? The left coast, the west coast, from California all the way up the Pacific coast, east all the way to the New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana. Okay? So the left third of the country is on fire. There looks to be some moisture in Washington State, Nevada, and New Mexico. It looks like there is a storm that we aren't talking about, that no one's talking about, in southern Texas, coming up the Gulf from the west side. Now, I don't know where that's going to go. Okay? But that storm is partially already made landfall in Texas. I can see a little nub of Texas down here. And depending on the direction of that storm, hey, southern Texas, southeast Texas, potentially southwest Texas. Okay? But yeah, there is a ton of moisture off the eastern seaboard ahead of Aaron. So the problem with the eastern seaboard is again not going to be Aaron. It's the storms around it that just pound the east coast in rain. And one of the things that we've learned, what did we learn about the New World Order? Okay, they want to buy up all the land super cheap. So they don't care if it gets destroyed. In fact, historically, when a natural disaster has struck a town, it just dies. Hey, when you look back over time at the town like Joplin, Missouri, right? I think Bob's from Missouri. These Western North Carolina, New Orleans. Okay. Now, the Dakotas, Western Minnesota, you're getting some moisture. Looks like there's a storm, like a harsh storm, northeast. Is that Nebraska? Northeast Nebraska and southwest Nebraska, you've got rain. So basically, if you're in Nebraska, you got rain. Yep. It looks like there's flood warnings in New York. Southwest, central, and northeast New York. Mm-hmm. Yep. I usually either eat a like a protein bar. I I used to make a smoothie. So for any of my fitness nerds, I'm gonna get back into going to the gym here soon. I'm gonna figure out my routine now that I've been in this job like 6 months. Um, the the idea is you need there's something that we don't take in unless you eat red meat, and it's not you don't really want to eat a lot of red meat. It's called creatine. It's a brain food. A lot of people associate it with being a muscle head. But creatine's actually good for your brain. And you pair that with powder protein. And then for flavor, what I did was a handful of blueberries, raspberries, snozberries. I'm just kidding. And then um, flax seeds so don't mess up your belly. A little bit of honey. If you can't get the flavor to be sweet enough for your liking, I was doing like the sugar-free sugar. You know what I mean? To try to make it. But again, one of the things that people are asking me about being in shape, especially like moving towards the apocalypse, right? And it's like, hey, you need to get familiar with walking slash running. That just needs to be in the bag. Okay? You got to train like an athlete. You got to understand we very potentially could live post gasoline, post fuel. And for a lot of people that doesn't mean you know electric cars. That means we don't have a car. And based on where you live, that means you have to walk a great distance to to get stuff. And that's why I try to tell people, come be my neighbor, so I don't gotta help someone I don't know. Snozzberries taste like snozzberries, right? But hey, I appreciate y'all. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. Zeke said, "I need to lose 60 pounds. Only then I'll be a face reveal." You're funny. Yeah, creatine is a brain food. A lot of I used to go to the YMCA every day for years, and older people were my workout buddies. And I was friends, and then they died. I was friends with a couple from 72 and 71, and they both died before 80. But I had these old people taking fucking creatine, and they were just like, I don't have brain fog, I don't get simple headaches, I feel good all day. And they're like, damn, I wish I would have been eating right and exercising and taking my fucking vitamins and uh, taking in some extra protein to help maintain muscle mass. Because one of the things that is causes people pain is atrophy. It's actually your muscles actually weakening, right? And if you don't work out like every 3 days, your muscles are continually weakening. hmm So a lot of your aches and pains are related to that. And won't admit it. They will never admit that you're in pain because you're atrophic. You stop moving. Have a good rest of your day. You got to be a hard target. You got to fire and move.